All right, this will be a short one, quick one. Just as more of just to share with the world, is more of an experiment for me. Can I get this to work? And I did, so I think it's kind of cool. And somebody else might want to do something with this for whatever use case there may be. I'm not recommending, this approach over using well vetted, well developed, libraries that are built for this. But if you wanted to, you can. So it's here's the question: can you run a Agentic LLM where it's calling external APIs or local stored procedures from SQL Server 2025 with zero custom CLR code, with zero custom add-ons, with zero Python or C#, nothing but T-sql and stored procedures and straight SQL, nothing else. Can you do that? And the answer is yes. So it has this SP invoke external REST endpoint is a new 2025 feature. The Azure version has had that a little longer, but 2025 on-prem SQL servers, it's new this year to have this capability. You do have to run a 2-line configuration to reconfigure your SQL server in order to allow it to run. But so what I did is I created a couple different get country information, get Pokemon details. That's just an example. I found a free API for that. I just was looking for some public free APIs just to test this thing. Get the International Space Station current location. There's something for that. And then get a weather for the city. Okay. Man, a little bit of a cough. So in the net here, I'll show you the proc it kind of runs. So one of the things I'm using within that since it can call REST APIs, I have a local on my workstation Olama REST API running. So it's hitting that to run a local model that does, it's the brain, the LLM brain. It's the Quen 3 is a tool specific one, so it can do agentic kind of tool recommendations. But you have to tell it, hey, I'm going to do tools. And in your system prompt, you're kind of being very specific of here's the available stored procedures that you can call and what each one of them does. And then an output from this, whenever the LLM runs, because the SQL code needs to pick up with that, the T-sql, and pull out whatever the LLM came back with, parse it, and act upon it, right? So you have to be very specific on the format for the JSON. So you do that in the system prompt. And so then it's really just a loop, right? And it loops through, is there an agent, we called the LLM, did it want to call an agent? And then if so, what's the tool that it wants to call? And then it just goes through and it's it populates this tool to call, and it finds the one that maybe was referenced. It calls the tool with the parameter that the LLM decided to try to throw at it. Then it throws that result back to the LLM, just true agentic. And then the LLM, and then I think I have this up to 10 times, 10 iterations max. So it doesn't do an endless, it gets into kind of a weird loop. It doesn't just go open-ended. And it just kind of runs until it's done. And so here's the result, what is the weather in Austin, Texas, and then also tell me where the IS space station is. So you can see here below, I won't run it here. I'll run the second one so you can kind of see it in action. But it did 2 agent calls, and it was satisfied with it. So here's the result of the first one. It sent that result, which called a public API, sent that to my LLM, and then it called the second one, and it sent that to the LLM, and it's okay, I've satisfied the question, and then it writes the result, which you see here. So let's do this one. What is the current weather in Paris right now? Yeah, I'm just getting over being sick if you can't tell. And this one, I anticipate it'll just do a single agent call and give us the weather. It'll call that one. And there you go, 51 degrees Fahrenheit. We can look at the message. So sure enough, one agent call, and here's what it returned for that. So anyway, you could write, potentially, I'm not saying to replace any large, Python implementation or somebody's MCP big service or whatever, but you could kind of write, like make a table of your available agents, and you could even have a couple different LLM stored procedures with different system prompts. One's kind of calls the table to get the tools that you might need, and then it throws to all the variable tools. It dynamically builds your system prompt with 10 tools that it thinks out of the 100 tools you might have available, and it throws that then back to the LLM, and then the LLM decides of those 10 which ones to call based on the, it can kind of triage, because it's all data. And it's all JSON back and forth. So it's like, what better place to do that than a database, honestly, if it can call an API. So it's kind of crazy to me that more, you don't see more of this kind of happening. Maybe there's some constraints or some issues with doing it this way, or some, lack of flexibility that other coding libraries can give you. But I kind of like it. I think it might work well for some simple use cases. But anyway, just wanted to demonstrate this because I thought it was pretty cool. Pure T-sql, Agentic LLM. Cheers.